Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I grew up in a polygamous community or religion called the FLDS. They follow Warren Jeffs as their leader and prophet. I moved out when I was 18 years old, and we are back at it answering some questions that you've all had about this community.
Yes, and if you want to continue to hear more stories about Sam growing up in polygamy and answering questions that you have about it, please like and subscribe to our videos. And we have kind of a special treat for you today that someone had kind of asked about, and we were like, this is such a good idea. And that is what the music was like.
The music was like out there. I haven't heard this music for almost as long as I've been out. I've listened to little pieces here and there, for example, to show my wife what it sounds like. And
when we were dating.
When we were dating.
He had it in his like CD case, and I'm like flipping through, and then I was like, wait a minute, this has Warren Jeff's face on it, and we had a chance to be able to listen to it for a little bit. One thing that, for those of you who aren't familiar or haven't seen some of our other videos, they can't listen to any worldly music or any music, like any type of modern music, anything like that. So all of the music that you're allowed to listen to growing up was
from there.
From the church.
They wrote it. Well, they would copy some songs here and there, but they would put their own twist on it, and they would make their own music. And if it wasn't made from that community, it was not allowed. That was the rule. So,
so they made all their own music. And the song that we're going to share today was actually sung by
Warren Jeff's wives. So they were singing, so several of his wives.
There's a lot of them, by the way. So when you're like, that's like a whole chorus, a whole choir.
It was.
It was.
Several of his wives were singing a song actually about him. So it was a dedicated song to him, which, who knows, maybe he wrote the words. But they were singing a song to him.
Okay, so there were songs written like about him and for him. Mm-hmm. What other kind of songs? Was it just like regular hymns that you would hear in like a regular Christian church, or what kind of music?
And to be clear here, in church settings and Sunday schools and different things, they actually had the traditional LDS hymn book.
Oh,
but they didn't have the green one. They had the older one, the brown one, and that's what we would sing in our meetings. We would sing songs from there, hymns from there. But as far as what we would listen to in our trucks, or what we were supposed to listen to in our trucks, or in a CD player in the house, whatever the case may be, that was only supposed to be stuff that was sung from that church. So,
okay. Yeah. Did you ever did they do like youth choirs? Like, did you ever get to sing for any of the songs?
Within families, we did, and for our home school, we had a choir, and so several of us would sing songs as well.
Okay. Cool.
But just a funny side note here. When we were sleeping, a lot of times my mother would wake us up. We had an intercom in the home, and she would wake us up playing this music sung by Warren Jeffs or his wives or other community members over the speakers throughout the house. So anyway, it was interesting way to wake up. But growing up out there, it was really the only music I knew until I was a little bit older and started listening to stuff I shouldn't have. But anyway, it was only
Hillary Duff,
like Hillary Duff or Tim McGraw. Yeah. But anyway, it was what we grew up with. It was the music we knew, so it was very normal and traditional for us out there.
Okay, and then you said Warren Jeffs would actually sing some of the music himself.
He would. Actually, he had several songs on these CDs that he sung himself.
Okay, so when the prophet's singing a song, like, is it like older songs, or do they come up with new songs, or is it like every time there's a new prophet, they like sing their own CD?
Well, every prophet wouldn't sing. In fact, the only prophet out there that I know of that would sing songs was Warren Jeffs, and he had a fairly decent voice, I would say. But anyway, I don't know of any other prophets that were singing. It was just him. And a lot of them were dedicated to other leaders of the church. I believe one of them that he sang was dedicated to his father, which was the prophet before him. And anyway, so normally he wouldn't sing a song dedicated to himself. It was more dedicated to other leaders.
Okay, so this song, we'll get into it and just kind of pause as we go, reacting to it a little bit. But this one was from Warren Jeff's wives.
Singing about him.
Singing about him. Okay, so here we go.
Let's go. Let's see.
We're going to listen to it together.
The memories. Even the intro. It's crazy. just have to pause and say really fast. This is just the intro to that, and this music as it starts. I mean, it was years ago, 12 or so years since I actually sat and listened all the way through to a song like this, and just the intro and the music as it starts. It just so many memories just instantly from that song. It's crazy how music does that. So anyway, I recognized the song right off the bat, and I remember listening to it 100 different times while I was out there. So very familiar song.
Sweet and childlike way, as I think of you this day, whether you're near or far away, when a prayer burns in my heart, I find we're never far apart.
Okay, a little bit of a reaction from me in this.
How do you feel about the music?
Okay, so it sounds like stuff that I grew up with as well in the LDS church, because you'd hear like children's choirs.
Oh, okay.
So I know these are his wives. They're probably as young as some of the children's choirs.
Yeah.
So, because I know he had some really young wives too.
Right.
But this type of music sounds just like the Sunday music that I grew up with. And it wouldn't be uncommon for like the youth to sing. Like I was in youth choirs, lots of youth choirs. So
this
the
sounds
beginning
similar to that.
vibes,
Okay.
yeah, this totally sounds like familiar as well, even though I've never heard this like one song.
Interesting.
So that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of tripping me out a little
So
bit.
it's memory lane for you too?
Yeah. So when they say like priesthood man giving all he can, do they believe that like all the men hold the priesthood, or that just Warren Jeffs holds the priesthood?
They believe all worthy man holds some degree of priesthood,
Okay.
but they believe that the prophet, which in this case Warren Jeffs, was the only one that held all of the keys to the priesthood, meaning that he had all of the power from God to do anything on earth in God's name that was required of him. So yes, they do believe other men can hold priesthood, but it's different degrees of priesthood and different authorities. It's not the same level as him.
Not the same level as him. Okay.
Yeah. So, and just a reminder, these, as far as I'm aware, and I had one of my own sisters marry a prophet, Rulon Jeffs, the one before Warren, and as far as I could tell, it was a huge honor for these women, at least at first, to get married into the family of the prophet. So
that's what they were told, and obviously now we know that there was a lot of awful things going on and a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
But growing up for a girl out there, if she was being told that she was going to end up being the wife of a prophet, they were told that it was an honor.
I remember as a brother, I was like, wow, this is so amazing. I can't believe my sister gets to marry into this family, and I'm just honored to even be related now, So anyway, it's a huge honor.
Yeah,
at least it seemed that way when I was out there.
It seemed that way, yeah. And like all the rest of everybody else, not knowing what was happening behind closed doors with Warren Jeffs and the abuse that was happening, everybody else is looking at those women as they must be like amazing.
They must be the best women in the
church,
church because they're marrying him. Yeah, exactly.
Which is just crazy. So sad.
I feel small and weak with all my heart, yet I seek to dwell with him through all eternity.
Yeah, I just found this interesting. So they're just saying here that they are so honored and so happy to be able to dwell with him through all eternity, because they believe that when they married him with the church, marry someone through the church, they would be able to live with them forever, not just to the end of life, but
for all eternity.
For all eternity, beyond this life, forever, they'd be able to remain married to him and be with him forever. So that's kind of what they mean right there.
Yeah, when they're talking about eternity.
Yeah.
Father's priesthood we are bound. In drawing close to you I found, through keeping sweet forevermore, you're becoming heavenly and pure.
Okay, so when they say by keeping sweet, so that is a saying for those of you who
Very
aren't
common.
familiar. That's very
Yeah.
common. And basically, it just means being like completely obedient. So, keeping sweet is like things get tough, you're not happy about the situation, like you better keep sweet.
Yeah.
So, while they say it in sweet voices, keeping sweet is definitely
Well, and growing
not
right. Well,
good.
knowing what I know now, it seems like wow, that just means hey, you're going
Pure
to be
obedience.
you're going to be happy and obedient no matter what.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions. Just be sweet. Keep sweet no matter what. But out there, I remember it was a very common saying that we were taught in church all the time, and so it was something that our parents would tell us all the time if we were getting angry with one of our siblings or something. Remember, just keep sweet, you know. So it was a very common saying, not only in church and from the church leaders, but throughout the entire community. It was just a very common thing they would say.
And what did
Yeah.
they say? That it would keep them clean and pure? Or what was it, impure?
I believe they said heavenly and pure.
Heavenly and pure. So by keeping sweet, basically by being obedient to the prophet and the priesthood, then that was going to help them stay, I think you're right, it was heavenly and pure.
Yep.
So the women, it's hard for me as a woman to like hear stuff like this because just the idea of just pure obedience, basically. Pure obedience, and that's what gets you to heaven.
Right.
That's what keeps you pure, is a pure obedience to the priesthood.
Right, and obviously, as many of you probably know, many probably don't know, but they in this culture, this community, this church, it was very well known that the wives were supposed to do what the husband said.
Yeah.
Not just be
Subservient,
obedient.
for sure.
Exactly, not just be obedient to the prophet or the leaders of the church, but the women were supposed to be obedient to their husbands. The husbands had the say in the matter. They had the final decision and final choice. So anyway, it was just common for the women to keep sweet no matter what in any situation.
So frustrating. I feel so bad. I feel so frustrated for them. They don't even know.
Like the Father and the Son became perfectly as one. You've made the prophets will your own. Through your Spirit He is shown. Oh, thank you, Father. Thank you for this priesthood man. For this man, He's lived his life, giving all he can.
Okay, back to like a little bit of my feminist side. Well, not even feminist, just like, now being out and the like abuse that happened to these women. Like Warren Jeff's wives, Sam was very lucky that he grew up in a household where he didn't experience abuse, okay? But there are a lot of people out there that did, and especially women, and especially Warren Jeff's wives abused, even his children abused, okay? So it gets my like blood boiling a little bit. But hearing stuff like this, do you think they recognized that, how can I even word this? Do you think they recognized it as abuse? Like when they're singing this song, do you think they realize that like they're pledging their faithfulness and saying how grateful they are to their Heavenly Father for this man? And do you think at that point they just don't recognize the abuse that's happening, or that they're just keeping sweet and singing this as well?
Yeah. Well, you have to realize that it wasn't like they reached the age of 18 and then all of a sudden they were told this is how you should be. They were born into this. This was their life. It's they expected this their entire life. They would see how their father was with the mothers. So they were used to being told how to live. And so for a lot of them, I believe they thought, hey, this is how it is. This is what is supposed to make me happy. This is what will give me eternal joy, as I'm told. And so a lot of the women would just endure. They would just, make it through this, because to them, or at least from what they were told, what they were taught their entire lives, is this life is just a short piece of the eternity. So don't worry about so much what's going on in this life. Just be obedient, keep sweet, and then in the next life, you're promised all these blessings. So that's kind of the mentality there.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's just so hard.
It's hard to understand. Because I came from there, I kind of felt that same way. I was taught, obviously, not to the same extent as the women, but also was taught to be obedient, do what the prophet says, no matter what, keep sweet. He's the one that's being told from God what to do, so just follow him. That's what we were told.
Yeah, okay. Let's see what the...
Now I feel small and weak. With all my heart, yet I seek to dwell with Him through all eternity. May we rise with You through all eternity.
And that is that. There it is, the song sung by Warren Jeff's wives about him. And yeah, interesting that they said there at the end that they want to rise with him through all eternity, meaning that they were taught and they believed that if they do what they were told, they would have eternal progression, eternal joy and happiness. And so for a lot of them, I believe that they convinced themselves, or maybe they truly felt that they were happy in the situation they were in. So
Yeah. Well, there is one song.
one of many. There's a lot.
One of many
Yeah.
songs. Maybe we'll do another review on a different song another time.
Yeah.
But just a little bit of insight for the wives of Warren Jeffs singing to him, kind of what that sounded like and looked like, and a little bit of insight to that. So.
And I do have to say really fast. I know this is getting a little long, but it is insane. It is crazy to me that after so many years, listen to a song from out there, and first of all, like I said earlier, just a flood of memories and experiences that I had out there, and it's just like this subconscious piece of me internally, not really knowing why, but there's still a piece of me, almost just because of the way I was raised, makes me feel that what they're saying is true, and what I came from is the truth. It's just mind-blowing to me how that the music, it has such a big
powerful.
impact. Very powerful. But anyway, I don't believe in it. Just to be clear, but it's crazy how much power it has. Especially when you're raised that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially if they've left a religion, can probably also kind of that resonates and relates where music is so powerful and can bring so many emotions. So
it's true.
It doesn't surprise me that you have emotions coming back because of listening to music.
So if you're from any religion, any background, and you had music growing up, and then you leave that because you don't feel like it's right for you, and then you hear that music and you feel all these good feelings and things from the music coming back, just
it's normal.
It's normal, and I wonder if some people think, oh, maybe this is telling me I should go back or something, but in this case, I know it's not. But it's crazy how much power it has.
Yeah. So if you guys want to hear more stories about Sam growing up in polygamy, then please like and subscribe, and we will talk to y'all soon.
We will talk to you soon.